Unlike Hazel Sterling, who looked and might tease her about it forever, Lily, the smart one, said, "I seriously hope whatever weird game you're playing with Asher doesn't involve us." Violet almost promised that nothing like that would happen, but then she remembered yesterday's incident where Asher had forced them to sleep, plus the part where he threatened to make Alice jump out the second-story window. The words got stuck in her throat. It hadn't hit her until that moment how she was putting her roommates in danger by hanging out with Asher, how she was making them collateral damage. Swallowing hard, Violet lied. "Don't worry, nothing like that will happen." But she knew Asher well enough to realize that last night was just the beginning, and it seemed it had already begun. Violet felt strangely flushed. At first she figured it was leftover heat from her crazy dream, so she stayed in the shower for, ever, and totally missed breakfast, hoping the cold water would cool her down. It worked for a bit, but then the feeling came back even stronger. She couldn't really explain it, but she felt hot and bothered in places she shouldn't. If she'd actually eaten something, she would have sworn someone slipped her something. Violet marched toward calculus and applied mathematics. Asher was supposed to be there. She'd seen it on her newsfeed. Apparently, even if he was a total psycho, the alpha was still Mr. Popular, with girls fighting over who got to sit closest to him. Her plan was simple: grab him, drag him out of class, and make him fix whatever he'd done to her. Violet clenched her fists, determined. Alice hadn't spoken since their earlier argument, just quietly trailed behind her. Violet knew Alice wouldn't stay mad forever, but for now, she was going to be firm and let her stew. Violet reached the classroom and walked in, scanning for Asher. But he wasn't there. Her eyebrows shot up. Where was the... Maybe he was late. But Alaric wasn't. Violet spotted the usually distant alpha sitting by the window, staring outside, lost in thought. He turned, as if sensing her stare. Their eyes met and locked. His gaze was still icy, but it didn't linger like before. Instead, his expression softened, with a hint of recognition, surprising her. "All right, everyone, find a seat," the calculus teacher announced, walking in. Violet realized she'd been standing there for a while. She wasn't about to sit next to Alaric again. She'd end up all over the Oracle's gossip page. But get this, when she tried to sit down, someone slid into the seat at the last second. Sorry taken. Violet moved to the next empty seat, but another student beat her to it. Okay, something was definitely going on. Violet's suspicions grew when she saw another open seat, only to have a girl snag it just as she got there, giving her a smug smile. "Sorry, this one's taken too." Giggles spread through the classroom. It finally dawned on Violet that this was a total setup. And if she was right, the mastermind was none other than that cute but sneaky prince, Alaric. With no other option, Violet walked over to the only seat left, the one next to him. She sat down without a word, determined not to let him get to her. "Hello, Violet." Violet's head whipped around, eyebrows shooting up in disbelief. Alaric Storm, the notoriously icy lightning prince, was talking to her? For a second, she just sat there, stunned. Then, laying it on thick, she dramatically looked left, then right, as if searching for the real Violet he was talking to. Alaric, completely unfazed by her little performance, leaned closer. "You do know you're the only Violet in this class, right?" A playful smirk tugged at Violet's lips. "Oh, wow, look who it is. The icy prince actually speaking to me. Should I feel special?" Alaric sighed, clearly regretting opening his mouth. "You're being really dramatic." But Violet wasn't letting him off that easily. His annoyance only egged her on. "And so nice today, too. Unlike yesterday, when he totally stole my thunder and took credit for all my hard work. How charming." Alaric's jaw clenched. "All right, enough." He instinctively reached out and grabbed her hand. The classroom went silent. Alaric quickly let go, but seemed to relax when he glanced at his gloved hand. The black leather was still in place, protecting him, or rather, her. Violet caught the subtle twitch of his gloved hand before he placed it back on his lap. She didn't say a word, but the knowing look in her eyes said it all. The icy prince is afraid of his own touch. Guess he can't control it after all. Satisfied, Violet turned back to the board, pretending to pay attention to the teacher, who was writing the day's lesson with their electronic pen. But Alaric wasn't finished. His voice softened. like he was trying to make amends. Look, I know we got off on the wrong foot. I want to make things right. Violet blinked, surprised by the sudden shift. Before she could reply, he extended his hand, the black leather glove contrasting sharply with his pale skin. My name is Alaric Storm, he said formally, blue eyes fixed on hers. And you are? The sincerity in his voice threw her. What game is he playing? She wondered. The Lightning Prince doesn't do small talk, especially not with humans. Her gut screamed trap, but Violet knew how to play the game. Sometimes, the best way to handle an enemy was to get close. Violet Purple, she said smoothly, shaking his hand. The instant their hands touched, a tiny spark of electricity zapped between them. Violet gasped, pulling her hand back like she'd been burned. Alaric looked just as surprised, glancing down at his gloves, his brows furrowed in thought, as if questioning their effectiveness. Violet rubbed her hand against her leg, masking her unease with a smirk. Well, Alaric Storm, that was shocking, she quipped, turning back to the board. Alaric didn't reply, his attention still fixed on his gloved hand. Whatever had just happened, it left him as unsettled as it had her. Today, we'll be diving into the concept of limits and how they're used to understand derivatives, Ruby the teacher announced. She underlined the word limits on the board with her electronic pen and then displayed a smooth parabolic graph. 2 points, A and B, were connected by a second line. This, she said, tapping the graph, represents the position of an object over time. Think of point A as one specific moment and point B as another moment close to it. The slope of this line gives us the average rate of change between the 2 points. Got it? Violet wasn't a math whiz, but she wasn't terrible either. She needed to focus. But that's exactly when Alaric decided to strike up a conversation. I heard you were saying Asher's name in your sleep today. Violet stiffened. Of all the things he could have asked, that's what he chose? It was obvious he was just trying to get information out of her. Even after that awkward run-in with him and Griffin, he still didn't believe her. Turning with a sugary, sweet smile, Violet replied, Why? Jealous. I wasn't saying your name. She added, Don't worry, maybe I will someday, if you're a good boy and stop bothering me. He shook his head. You're unbelievable. Yep, that's me, Violet said proudly. He'd already made up his mind about her, so arguing was pointless. I just want to know if it's true, Alaric pressed. Were you dreaming about him? What's really going on between you two? Was it just a normal dream? Or did he, make you dream it? Or was it all in your head? He bombarded her with questions. Back off, dude, Violet snapped, annoyed as hell that he was practically in her personal space. Plus, class was in session. This was seriously not the time or place. Who knew how many gossipy classmates were listening in?
Wait, that's not the end. You've just had a free taste. Now get the full story on the Pocket FM app, link in description. Check out our next video and playlist, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.